My name is Abubakar. I come from Africa, Guinea. Some people in my field, they don't care about the school, so my teacher just go to class, he don't like to teach us.
My life back home was really not leading to a success. When it comes to school, I go to school, but I don't go to school all the time, and they don't care.
When I first came, I did not speak no English, and I was not feeling good because I see old people speaking English, and I was like, what are they talking about?
Our school is in the South Bronx. The immigrant population within the area does not arrive as highly educated as other immigrant populations around the city. So automatically I knew that one of the driving questions for our school would be, how do you manage, how do you develop a school that supports students who are entering with low literacy in their native language?
Kids had inconsistent education for many reasons. Their schools might have been burned down, so they might have missed a chunk of school. They might have never gone to school a day in their lives, or maybe they've gone to school every day, and the quality of their education might have been compromised. Who are these kids as language learners, and what's their English language proficiency?
My native language, I didn't know how to write it or how to read in French. You give me a French, I'll think this is another language, not even a French, because I didn't know how to read it.
When I came here, the teacher gave us work to do, but I couldn't understand nothing. What she tell me and what she tell us to do, I couldn't understand.
Who is each one of these kids as a literate person? And you can only answer that question by looking at their home language literacy.
You're going to have to explain in your language what exactly that means. How does Nasreen change? Okay, so we're going to do it in Spanish, French, Bengali first, Arabic as well, and then we're going to switch and do it in English.
The resources SIFE bring to the classroom are countless.
They're eager to learn and they're excited about learning.
A student might speak 5 languages proficiently, maybe a student from Guinea who can speak Mandingo, French, now learning English, Arabic, and move back and forth between those, but perhaps can't read and write in any of them.
I can remember one student who was 17 and he was in the 9th grade, and he showed me how he made a compass with a piece of string and a pencil. He had been a farmer. He had never been to school. So we're learning things about these kids and the resources that they brought, and also trying to understand how to help bridge their understanding of much more academic, abstract content.
They're bringing an incredible resilience and a willingness to learn, especially kids who have been denied education in their home country.
So let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The fear before is happy, after sad. You understand?
Unfortunately, some of those resources sometimes just don't match what's expected of kids in a Western US classroom.
One of the things that's salient about these students is that their experience has been very practical. It's not the kinds of academic, abstract thinking that customarily goes on in schools.
A lot of the students, as far as their math knowledge goes, they were able to do maybe some basic operations, but multiplication and division and anything that required multiple steps was a huge, huge challenge.
I used to love math, but I couldn't even divide 4 divided by 2. I couldn't do that.
Bridge students don't really have the map literacy to understand a map. So the idea that certain symbols on the map have certain meaning, that our continents and oceans form something we call the Earth, they lack some of the knowledge that we take for granted.
We identified what we called cracks in the foundation. And one of those cracks was foundational literacy, not coming with the ability to read and write beyond a third grade level in their home language. In some cases, maybe not being able to decode, but certainly not being able to use text as a resource to learn. That their academic conceptual knowledge, their understanding of foundational science concepts, foundational social studies concepts, or around sort of analyzing literature, the plot summaries or the arc of a story. These were not the ways of thinking that kids were bringing to the classroom, that one couldn't take these for granted. There was a lot of energy that was spent trying to figure out how to give students the foundation that they need. In the early days, we were trying to collaborate with the school to figure out how to serve the kids.
We would use native language to support the understanding of the content. Lots of pausing, explaining, and then re-engaging the text. That helped significantly. Was it enough? No.
I, along with Susanna, taught a pull-out English class where we taught groups of 4 or 5 students together.
That was necessary, but certainly wasn't sufficient in meeting kids' needs.
There was one thing that was working, and that was the after-school program that was running out of my classroom. It was a fantastic resource, but it wasn't enough.
We became quite expert at teaching content through using video and other means that didn't require students to independently process the written word. But at the end of the day, kids were still not able to read and write. We were doing all of those things to accommodate, but it just wasn't enough.
When we identify the students who were coming in at those low levels of literacy, 75% dropped out. Only 25% were able to make it to graduation.
If you're 16 or 17 or 18 and you just got here and you're coming into 9th grade, there is no time. The clock is ticking. You have 4 years to graduate. We need to spend that time intervening in really targeted ways. We have got to do something that's more than just this one class, which is 60 minutes a day when kids have missed whole lives of school. What if we created a year program that was preparing kids for 9th grade? There is no such thing as a pre-9th grade program, but that was the idea, that since kids are drowning so much in the 9th grade class, instead of just throwing kids in to sink or swim, let's really try to move kids in productive ways. Rigor is meet kids where they are and stretch them. The idea of the Bridges program was, let's take these 10 kids that were sitting in my one class for 60 minutes, and let's put them in a program for the day, where they traveled to science, social studies, math, ELA, and let's see what happens. There was a lot of controversy, and there was a lot of concern about you can't stigmatize kids, but the bottom line is, it is stigmatizing to be in a 9th grade classroom when you have 1st grade skills in your own home language. That's stigmatizing, because everybody in that class knows you're the one who can't read. Everybody knows you're the one who the teacher has to sit next to you and do all the work for you. And it is stigmatizing to leave high school and not know how to read and write, and not be able to participate in society. We were willing to take that risk and see if that helps create real meaningful participation in 9th grade classes where kids maybe not be at the top of the class, but be able to hold on in significant ways.
Susanna and I were hired by the New York State Department of Education to think about how to target this curriculum in a way that's aligned to the Common Core.
Luego le quitaron a su padre, cambió todo. Yo creo. Esa es la evidencia. Sí, en serio.
By anchoring the curriculum in powerful, essential questions, when they come to reading Nasreen, they're not just looking at a story and trying to examine it for characters change, but they can also analyze it through the lens of human rights and how the violation of Nasreen's human rights impact her ability to survive or thrive or participate. And that's a very different way of looking at the book, which can transfer to social studies, for instance, when you're thinking about access to resources. So you're exercising this muscle in a way that helps you begin to do it automatically.
2 minutes for partner A to talk about what happened.
Like she didn't speak to the English. Like that teacher or which remained silent and that Goro silent.
They're often partnered in home language, and this is particularly true in the beginning of the year, in the first 6 months of the year. We do this because when we talk about what we understand, when I talk to someone about what I've read, in the act of speaking, I am drawing on language that I need to express those ideas, and I'm consolidating my understanding. So we ask them to do that first in their home language because that's their language of thought. And so when they can express their understanding in their home language, then they can focus on beginning to express those ideas in English.
If you did one sentence for those pages, what could you say, do you think? Batu, you want to try?
Please pray for Nasreen.
Yeah, praise that Nasreen will do what?
For Allah open her eyes.
The biggest thing that they take with them from Bridges is probably the ability to participate in every way in every class. We can't make up 8 years of content in the United States that they weren't exposed to, and whatever they were doing in their home country probably overlaps with some of it, but they do develop the ability to problem solve and to be organized in ways that they're able to do the work so they don't have all these extra obstacles.
Bridge students that I've had in the past who have taught later in 9th and 10th are comfortable speaking so that when they do transition to 9th and 10th grade, they have the confidence in their own speaking abilities, but also more of the foundational things that we do teach in Bridges, such as annotation skills.
The issue is, how do you access that? I feel like certain students have become leaders.
They want to be there and they're really willing to work with you, and you're kind of all in this together. Our Bridge class has the highest attendance of all the classes in the school.
Some people in our school say we're working miracles, and it's true. We're getting kids who are coming in with very low literacy, graduating them in 6 years. They're meeting the Regents requirements, they're meeting the portfolio standards, and that really helps them achieve in college. Right now, for our first cohort, that's in its 4th year, we only have a 20% dropout rate. The school is going to take a risk with the graduation rate because it's not going to be at its highest potential in 4 years. But I'm noticing that the 6-year graduation rate is what's really worthwhile.
We've been working with this population for almost 15 years now. I think there needs to be a lot of work to help teachers and administrators understand the ways in which these students are distinct.
I think we've found something that is a seed that we really have to continue to nurture so that we can accelerate kids to be able to graduate and participate meaningfully in the world.
The first week we was in the Bridges class, I didn't want to focus because I still had the mind that I had back home. I didn't want to focus, but then I seen myself improving a lot. So I think a Bridges class, it was really powerful.
After the year doing Bridges, when I went to 9th grade to my regular classes, the teacher was like, oh, this kid knows everything that he's talking about. I was like, I did Bridges.
I'm not here to play. I'm here to learn, get a good education, and have experience, and my future can be better. Like I have to achieve my goal. Then when the school open, then I go to 9th grade. I start working hard since now.
They teach me how to write because I don't know how to write nothing, and they help me how to read the book and how to do my homework.
As I realize that I'm going up, in the future I have to make my own family, have a good job, all that. I have to change. That's what I say. If you want something, you gotta do something to get it.